The muscular, nervous, and skeletal systems interact to produce movement. Messages travel through the nervous system to the skeletal muscles that attach to bones throughout the body. The fibrous appearance of skeletal muscles is created by the arrangement of proteins inside the cells that form muscle tissue. Motor neurons of the nervous system connect with these skeletal muscles. Movement occurs through a series of steps. Impulses from the nervous system reach the neuromuscular junction. The neuron releases a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. It binds to receptors on the muscle and begins a chemical reaction within its fibers. The muscle filaments slide across each other and the muscle shortens or contracts. This action produces movement. In order to produce movement in the body, the muscular, nervous, and skeletal systems interact in a process called muscle contraction. Muscle contraction begins when the nervous system generates a signal. A motor neuron conducts an action potential to its link with a muscle fiber. At the neuromuscular junction, a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine is released. This chemical binds to receptors on the muscle fiber. Acetylcholine receptors are chemically gated ion channels, and when acetylcholine binds, they open, allowing influx of sodium ions into the muscle fiber. This stimulates the sarcolemma and generates another action potential that travels through tiny folds known as transverse tubules. The action potential reaches myofibrils within the muscle fiber. Surrounding the myofibrils are membranous sacs called the sarcoplasmic reticulum. The arrival of the action potential triggers the release of calcium ions stored in the sarcoplasmic reticulum. They diffuse into the muscle fiber, and the next phase of muscle contraction begins. When an action potential travels to a muscle fiber, a series of steps begin within the fiber that result in contraction. Muscle fibers are organized into units called sarcomeres that contain two types of filaments. Thick filaments consist of myosin. Thin filaments consist of actin. Eventually, these two filaments will come together, creating a cross bridge. In response to an action potential, the sarcoplasmic reticulum within a muscle fiber releases calcium ions. These ions bind to a protein complex, causing it to shift and expose the myosin binding sites. The myosin head then binds to actin, and the cross bridge is established. In the next step, ADP and phosphate are released. Their energy powers the movement of the myosin head. This step is called the power stroke. Actin moves toward the center of the sarcomere. ATP then binds again to myosin, and it detaches from actin. ATP breaks down into ADP and phosphate, and the myosin head cocks back. Myosin heads continue to deactivate and reactivate. This causes the myosin filaments to pull together and slide across one another, contracting the muscle.